Hey friends, today it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and so is tomorrow. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept and our community. We're thrilled you have joined. We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years' experience as therapists in private practice. But it was in the office as well as in our personal relationships where we were hearing women struggling and not feeling seen or alive during their messy middle life stage. If you are curious how we define that, go back to season 1, episode 2.
We come to you not as your therapist, but just two women in this life stage with you, your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the heart of the uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of the healing process, and to find joy in life. We strive to find the meaning in the middle of the messy or the unknowing. What sets us apart? Why listen to us versus all those other podcasts out there? Here's the thing. We leave you with gifts each and every episode. They may come in the form of actual tools or strategies, invitations to stay exactly where you are if that's what you want. And once in a while, we have a thought-provoking, mic-dropping thing for you to be aware of. Now that we're friends, let's make this official. We would absolutely love and be honored to help start your Thursday mornings. So make sure you follow the show wherever you're listening to us right now. And you can sign up for our free newsletter on our website, yourbirthdaypodcast.com. Ready for some of those gifts that I just mentioned so you can start living your life how you want? Go to our website again, yourbirthdaypodcast.com, and a quiz will pop up. Go ahead, take it. Christina and I are going to drop gifts immediately to your inbox.
Oh, friends, do you love, hate, or how do you feel about your hormones? Let's get real. They are part of all of us. We are going to learn how to navigate them, or we have learned how to navigate them, hopefully, since we got our first period. And now, decades later, we have another big life space to have a relationship with them. As many of you know, Helene was thrown into early menopause, being on chemotherapy. And I now have all the oh shit, hell yeah moments, including Miralax coffee. Since then, Helene and I have always been focused on trying to empower you to listen and learn about your body. And we knew that you deserved this discussion. Today, we are chatting with Maggie, who is here to share with us her journey with perimenopause and hopefully give us some insight and hot tips on how we handle it. But before we start, we want to stress this episode is one woman's journey to take care of herself and her body. We are all unique individuals, and should you find yourself wanting a further conversation about your hormonal health with a medical professional, we are cheering you on to do so. Remember, you are the CEO of your body. Hi, Maggie. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your time and story. Before we dive in, we're hoping that you can just share a little bit with our audience about yourself, who you are, and what inspired you to be so open and wanting to help women to learn all about their body with perimenopause.
Such a loaded question. Right. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. It's quite an honor. I'm Maggie Ullrich. I am a former teacher in my past life, turned hormone health coach in training. I'm currently getting my hormone health coach certification through IIN, which is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I am a wife of 18 years and a mom of 2 teens. And I went from being a stay-at-home mom to kicking postpartum anxiety and depression's ass. Can I say ass?
100%. We swear all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That's right, because you did say shit in the intro. All right,
I
cool.
did. Yeah.
So yeah, I kicked its ass. But then I find myself stuck in perimenopause about 10 years later. Like seriously, I got out of the trenches and now this, like a huge bomb was dropped on me. So I started my health journey because I had it all figured out. But because I really didn't have it all figured out. Like perimenopause hit me like a freaking mad truck that didn't even bother to like honk before hitting me. And I'm sure a lot of women are like nodding their heads right now, like, yep. because I was like your typical healthy woman. I was doing all the right things. I was working out. I was eating clean, but it wasn't working for me. I was exhausted. I was moody. I mean, my kids and my husband, like they had to walk on eggshells around me. They didn't know what mom they were going to get. I felt very puffy and I could not drop a pound to save my life. And that was a really big thing for me because I gained about 10-ish pounds out of nowhere. And I'm like, wait a second, where is this coming from? I I'm doing all the things. I got the night sweats and my sheets automatically became like a slip and slide. It was gross and it was obnoxious. And I really got tired of being told that this was just part of getting older or that it was all in my head. I went to my gynecologist's office and I remember laying there and telling her my symptoms and she looked at me and she's like, "Well, you are at that age." She's like, "We can check your labs to see where you're at with your hormones." She's like, "But I really feel like maybe you should lift more weights." I
Mm.
was like, "I lift weights every day." And I
Mhm.
wanted to do like one of these, from friends and be like, "No." I'm like, "I need help. I'm lost." I felt completely dismissed. And of course, at the end, my lab work was normal.
Mm.
So I like, you know what? If no one's gonna help me, I have to help myself. So I'm not that one that is just complacent and gonna settle into these awful symptoms. There's gotta be a way, and I wanted to figure it out. So I started digging, I started learning, I started experimenting, and I finally found tools that actually helped. And that's when I knew I could not keep this to myself.
Yeah.
Women deserve to feel good in their bodies, and I'm here to help them get there. 10 years ago, I helped women who suffered from extreme postpartum depression, anxiety, get out of bed every day and be the best mom that they could. And now I'm helping women in a different way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that, friends. She's one of us, right? She's the CEO of her own body. So let's get these
Yes.
questions and answers and get this thing rolling. I love that.
Yeah.
So many women do not, like you said, and I love when you said it was like a Mack truck without a honk. Like, I'm going to steal that because I'm the visual person out of the
That
two of
was
us.
so cute.
Yeah, I love that. So many women often do not feel prepared, whatever that means, but the changes that perimenopause brings. What were some of the most, you share, but if you can expand, what were some of the most surprising or challenging aspects of that stage for you? Like, can you talk us a little bit more about it? Because, like you said, I imagine I could be a little bit like the poster child for some of the women that are listening to this. And I think that's going to make you
Mhm.
relatable, where maybe you felt dismissed in the office. I think you're going to get a hell yes, thank you from
Oh
our
my gosh.
community.
Yeah.
I feel as though we are all poster child or
Mhm.
poster children because
Mhm.
we are always going to think, oh, it won't happen to me. Like you'll hear stories and say, oh, that won't happen to me, but it will. It is life. It is what we go through. It is part of a season that we're all going to experience. So I think the most surprising thing for me was how sneaky it was. Like I thought you
Mm.
had to be like old to be in perimenopause, like my grandma old. And no one told me that it could hit you in your late 30s or early
Yeah.
40s while you're still carpooling, packing lunches, and managing, well, teenage drama, because that's like my every day. So I felt blindsided and completely unprepared for it. And the hardest part was feeling like a complete stranger in my own body because I felt
Mhm.
so in tune with my body for so long. And it was like a rude awakening. My moods were all over the place. Like I told you, my motivation vanished. I wasn't, I used to be peppy and energetic and productive and gregarious. And I was constantly second guessing myself because I didn't want to socialize anymore. I just wanted to sit on the couch. That's like the last thing you want to do when you're in such a low space, low place in your life. And I didn't recognize the person staring back at me in the mirror. And I think that was the
Mm.
hardest part.
I
You
was
know,
just going to say,
no one, yeah,
Mm.
no one's talking about it. And that isolation, that was the part that really hit me the hardest because I felt like, here we go again. I don't know who to turn to. Where do I begin? My doctor obviously has no idea what she's talking about. And do I need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars and go see like a specialist? So that was really hard. That was.
I think that's profound what you said. Like, nobody is talking about it. And women have been so secretive about the stages of their body. And I think our generation has really tried to do that so differently with just raising daughters and talking about, menstrual cycles and things like that and normalizing it. One of my favorite things is several of my friends who have teenagers, they might have teenage boys, and these girls come over and they're like, "Hey, Mrs. So and so, do you have a tampon I can use?" And it's like so normal in front of the boys. And my girlfriends are like, "Holy cow." I mean, I love her empowered, but
Yeah.
whoa, I would have never had that courage. And I think that's how we need to be about menopause. Like, we
Mm.
need to be that loud and bold. And who gives a shit who's in the room or how we make them uncomfortable? This is life stages, And maybe if we can normalize it, men can normalize the fact that they go through, their bodies evolving too, because it's just as secretive and uncomfortable. So I
Yeah.
love that. And I
Mhm.
love how you said, looking in the mirror, all of a sudden you didn't recognize your body as somebody who listens to their body constantly. That had to be so scary. So, as you've walked through this perimenopause journey, what does listening to your body mean to you now? Like, how has it changed?
I just want to touch on the fact of where you talked about like our teenagers, especially the girls, real quick. I feel like we as women right now are setting the stage for that generation of women to feel
Yes.
empowered as they get to this season. I feel like
Yeah.
we're doing it for them. And I'm
And
just
we
so
did it for them with their menstrual cycles because we
exactly.
changed the conversations from our moms like secretly telling us in a closet or in the bathroom and like teaching us how to hide it and teaching us how to be discreet about it. Where we're like, girlfriend, this is life. And now we have an opportunity to do that about perimenopause and menopause.
I always say that this is not your mother's menopause. Like this is totally a
Mm-mm.
different.
Oh, I love that. That's a
Yeah,
gift.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Um, so listening to your body. Well, where do I begin? It means really just slowing down enough to actually hear it. Our bodies, they whisper before they scream. And
Mm.
during perimenopause, those whispers can become like full on rants if you're not paying attention. So for me, that was the weight gain. That was the fatigue. That was
Mm.
the lack of energy. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And
Yeah.
listening to my body meant noticing what foods made me bloated or upset my stomach because as we age, our gut microbiome also ages and it starts to change.
Mm.
Realizing when my stress was messing with my sleep and giving myself permission to rest, not just physically, but emotionally. So it's about checking in and saying, all right, girl, what do you need today? Instead of bulldozing through our old routines that no longer serve you. Like yesterday, I was so tired. I like woke up thinking, "Oh my gosh, I think I'm fighting a cold. Like I think I have like early symptoms of a cold. I don't feel good. We leave for vacation in a week." I'm like, this is even though it's not perimenopause, I stopped and I listened to my body and I'm like, you know what? We are resting. We are gonna just do the minimal amount of work here because your body's trying to tell you something. And that's what we need to do with this stage in our life. If you're feeling off, your hormones are speaking to you, and it's really important for you to listen.
I
Mhm.
think the beautiful thing that you're sharing, Maggie, is that you don't shame it. And you're allowing yourself to grow within it, where before maybe you bustled through it or bulldozed it, you're allowing it to pause, to talk, and you're giving it permission to be heard,
Mhm.
which might be the only space when you're going through this stage. It has to start with you listening to it. And that's what you're gifting, like our audience, to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
love
I was
that.
in denial for a really long time, and that's one piece of advice that I would like to give other women because I was in denial, I feel like that wreaked worse on my hormones because I was fighting against it.
Mhm.
You feel comfortable sharing, like, what do you mean you were in denial? Denial, that's the stage you were in?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I'm still gonna run 6 miles 8 times a week, or not 8 times a week, 7 times a week. I'm gonna do my hard cardio pumping boot camp classes, and I'm going to, stay away from carbs and eat only certain foods. and I'm going to be able to, I could stay up late on the weekends and have all the alcohol and snacks. Like it really, all of those things turned against me. And so I
Mm.
knew it. I didn't want to accept it. I was in denial about it. And I didn't know if I wanted to change.
Wow, you were so just into that routine and wanting that to stage. Do you think it was like a fear of aging that like if I ignore it, I won't get older?
Yeah. Or I don't want to change my ways. And
Mhm.
this is what's worked for me. It's like, this is what worked for me in the past, so it'll work
Yeah,
for me again. And it's so true that it does not work anymore.
I love that. I mean, we're meant to evolve, but it's so hard because we found something that works and we don't want to change it once it's working, even if it's not working.
Right.
And I think as you shared a little bit more about like your story about that denial piece, it does go back to like it's a whisper and you have to listen to the whisper
Hmm.
versus like muzzling it because you're like, it started creeping in, it started creeping in. And if I listen to the whisper, I can have a relationship with the symptoms, but it is hard when you have a way of life that's been working so well for you.
Exactly. Yep.
Wow.
So you talk a lot about, well, I moved my body a lot. You know, I would run, I would do this. So can you share with us a little bit about how did your approach to physical activity evolve during perimenopause and what role did movement play in your symptoms and your stress and your fatigue? Because it sounds like that's a big part of it's a big part of Maggie.
Mhm. That was a really hard breakup. It really was because I had a workout routine that I loved and thrived on, and I would lift, I would do hardcore cardio. Like I said, I'd run 6 miles a few times a week, and sometimes I'd double my workouts. So I really had to break up with that go hard or go home mentality. I used to think more sweat, more results, is what happens, or more calorie burn. I would wear one of those heart rate monitors and I'd be like, okay, I'm at 1,000 calories. I burned 1,000 calories. Yay. I think I can finish my workout now. Cause I thought, well, I'm going to reward myself with food after that. And it was just, it was all backwards. And during perimenopause now, it actually made things worse. I started focusing on like the changes I made due to research and just trying to figure it out. A lot of trial and error, ladies. I started focusing on lifting heavier, walking more. I do use the weighted vest. I joined the club. I just started a couple weeks ago, and honoring my body instead of punishing it. Movement became my therapy. Literally, it helped with my stress, my sleep, my sanity. Walking has now become my non-negotiable. It's where I find clarity. I listen to podcasts, I pray, and I'm in peace. Like I've got no distractions, no kids, no laundry, no husband. So to me, it's no longer about shrinking my body, it's about supporting it.
Ooh,
Yes.
wow. There's
Ooh.
been like major jaw
I know.
dropping
I'm like,
moments
Maggie,
here.
where
I
have you
love
been all of
that.
our lives?
It's
Wow.
no longer about punishing it, it's about
Yeah.
supporting it. That is
Yeah.
profound. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
So, for women who are feeling really disconnected from their bodies right now, what kind of
Mhm.
movement would you suggest starting with to just reconnect with who they are?
My advice is to just start simple, start gentle, start with walking. No
Mhm.
fancy outfits, no gym membership, no like complicated plan. It's completely free. Just lace up and go. Because just even getting outside and being with the sunlight and the fresh air is therapeutic alone.
Yeah.
Pair it with music that makes you feel something or a podcast that fires you up, like this
Mhm.
podcast.
Oh,
And like I said, the goal isn't to burn calories, it's to build that trust again with your body.
yeah.
So I would say just start low because you really have a lot of healing to do and it's going to take time.
Mm. I love that. I love that
Thanks.
because that's an attainable goal and it's gifting our bodies. Like it
Right.
is a gift to our bodies to start slow and honor where it's at and respect it.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so
So
I feel like I'm
perimenopause forces us to respect our bodies. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
hard
like,
one.
what did God do? I have a beef with
Right.
him. I get when I'm like,
Right.
when it's my time, I'm gonna be like, what did you do? Why did you create us like this?
Yeah, I
Perfect.
agree. It's rude.
Yeah, it
You
is
can
rude.
stop the menstrual cycle, but just keep the metabolism going and
Energy.
yeah, the
Yeah.
energy, keep our, skin healthy, not saggy. Like
Mhm.
we freaking populated this world. Like do right by us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh. Before I ask you the next question, I want to ask you if you'll go back for a moment when you say it's time or it's an invitation, you have to trust your bodies. Can you expand on that? Because that was a powerful thing that you just said.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, our symptoms are telling us something.
Mm.
Something's off, something's right, something's not right. And you need to learn to lean in and to kind of learn what that means and trust that your body knows why they're throwing all these signals to you. So if you don't trust your body, you're not going to lean in and learn and do the work and try to be gentle with it.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
In
That
your
kind of
experience,
segues perfectly into the
I
next
know, I was
question.
just gonna, we keep doing that. Like we don't intentionally bring
Yeah.
people somewhere. So in your experience, either how would you describe or how important is the mind-body connection in navigating perimenopause? And how did like mental and emotional wellness in what did emotional and mental wellness mean in your journey? It does segue. That's why I'm trying to make it a little
Me?
different, but it does segue exactly to what we were kind of going towards.
I feel like you're almost relearning and unlearning all at the same time. You can't really separate the two. I was doing all like the right things physically, but if my stress was through the roof or I was beating myself up because I don't know, I ate too much or I woke up feeling bloated and I didn't feel good, I would say have that negative self-talk. And then it sabotaged my progress every time. And I had to work on my mindset just as much, if not more, than my meal plan. And I'm still going through it. I don't have a picture perfect, like, there is no picture perfect perimenopausal life. I mean, just a few weeks ago, I was feeling off and I don't know what it was. And I thought, you know what, this must be something that all of a sudden happens at this age. So I listened to my body and I decided to rest. I decided to prioritize my sleep. I started to do more breath work. And then I slowly, after a few days, started to feel better, getting into personal development or maybe therapy, finding a community of like minded women that get it. I mean, there's so many communities out there. It just takes some time to like do research and find one that you feel
Mm.
like you fit in. And those were as important as supplements and protein too. So
Mhm.
when your mind is calm, your body can follow. Actually, your body will follow. So that mind body connection is really the secret sauce because you have to listen to what is going on.
I love that. I love that. I think for me, and I kind of pulled Helene on the wagon, is pickleball. Like I had been an avid tennis player, not avid. I have to take that back. I played tennis. I was never awesome at it, but I just loved it and it was fun for me. And then, I went through my Pure Bar phase and now I love pickleball. Like it is fun and it is funny and there's a group of women I play with that are just, we're all in kind of similar but different stages in life, if that makes sense. So it becomes social time and sport time. And,
Yeah,
when we play hard, I can burn 500 calories in a 2-hour game, which is
easily.
fun.
I've never done it. I've heard amazing things. It's like one on my list of things that I want to try and do. And my husband is really curious about it too. So we'll have to get
Yeah,
out there and try it. It'd be a
get out
great
there.
date night.
It is a
Yeah.
great day night. Yeah.
Me,
We're
me,
actually doing a double date night tomorrow night with Helene and her husband
Yeah.
fun.
to play. So Pictures coming.
And laughs and giggles.
And laughs and giggles, right? Because we're human.
Right.
But I do get like that's one place I get highly competitive, and I'm not nice to my husband, so it maybe isn't marital good. But oh well. Anyway,
We'll let you know. We'll get some tips.
yeah.
It's a healthy competition.
It's a healthy competition, absolutely. So, as we're evolving into perimenopause, self care can take on a new meaning. And so, I'm just wondering if you can share with our audience any self care rituals or routines you do, give them some gifts that has been particularly important and helpful to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So self-care became less about bubble baths and boundaries for me. Not that I love bubble baths because I don't even like, but I'm just trying to put it in an example because everyone thinks,
Yeah.
oh, self-care means taking a bath, taking a nap, No, self-care to me was boundaries. And one
Yeah.
of the biggest shifts for me was creating a solid morning and evening routine, which are sacred now. I mean, don't my kids know not to like bother me during that time. I wake up at the same time every day and I get dressed, not staying in my pajamas and hoping like motivation magically shows up. I lay out my workout clothes in my bathroom the night before. So takes the guesswork out of it, takes out the excuses. So I change into them first thing in the morning. Then it's water, my adaptogen, to support, cortisol, and then a little reading or journaling. And that sets the tone for the day. So I like to say it's not fancy, it's foundational for me, for my day. And then sleep. So I like to say sleep became my side hustle. My nighttime routine actually.
Give everyone the tips and the
Yeah.
tricks.
Because I'm a
Yeah.
terrible sleeper. I need it.
Yeah, so this really made a difference, and I started about a year ago. I stopped eating after dinner. So I like to say my nighttime routine actually starts after dinner. And yes, we are a family. We try very hard to sit down at the table and eat dinner. I try to make dinner well, not every single night, like most nights. So after dinner, we heard the saying dinner and done. That's what I do. I stop eating. And I call it like you've heard it be called rest and digest, and there's meaning behind it. It's so good for our parasympathetic nervous system. And that was something I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? Coming from somebody who knows nothing about hormones, I'm like hormone health 101. But like I told you, ladies, I'm getting my fourth hormone health certification right now, and I'm like completely blown away at the things I'm learning and also applying in my own life. So when you stop eating after dinner and you give your body time to rest and digest, you're actually supporting that part of your nervous system and also known as rest and restore mode. So this system is responsible for calming your body down, lowering your cortisol, improving digestion, and helping you sleep better. So if you're constantly eating or snacking late at night, your body stays in like that, oh my gosh, we need a do mode instead of shifting into that recovery mode. And your digestion stays active, your blood sugar stays elevated, and your hormones, they're thrown off. So giving yourself a few hours between your last meal and bedtime helps your body fully process food, reduce inflammation, and prepare for that deep restorative sleep. So if you think about it, like snacking is just going to throw your sleep off. And then when you wake up the next morning, not only is your cortisol going to be high, but your body is going to be like, I crave sugar. So I'm all about the routine. It's like giving your body a chance to clock out for the night instead of working the late shift, and your hormones love that. Something else I do that I've heard like other women do that I'm like, this is genius, is I also shut down work about 2 hours before bed because I know the access to our work can be 24 hours a day if you think about it nowadays. It's not really
100%.
clocking in and clocking out. We do take our work home, and it's really up to us if we want to continue to work or shut it down. So that's what I do. No screens at all for the last hour. My phone charges in the bathroom not by my bed unless my kids are out and I need to get hold of them. But right before I go to sleep, I do my skincare routine and then I read. I treat myself because I just started getting into the psychological thrillers, and I get excited to go into that part of my mind that I don't usually get to every day because I'm usually working or I like to watch TV, but reading brings it to a different level. And then lights out by 9 or 9:30, like a total grandma. But I'm a very well-rested one. And as far as boundary goes, I've learned to say no more. No to people, no to projects, no to parties, and even no to foods that don't serve me because at the end of the day, self-care is really about protecting your peace. My husband and I now, and we don't know if it's because we're older, but we are very selective as to who we spend our time with. And if that means we're home on the weekends, that's what it means, and we don't care. We actually prefer that. So yeah, I'm all
Love
about
that.
boundaries.
Well, but so let me ask you, because I think a lot of what you're saying is so necessary, and it might be hard for those people who haven't instituted or practiced boundaries, or if they're hearing some of the gifts that you're saying, which is going to lead to my next question. Like, how did you do that? Like, when you're like, sleep is my side hustle, or I'm gonna like shut my life down in terms of like the refrigerator to me. Like, you really are honoring Maggie, and yet you have two teenagers, you have a husband. Did you communicate with them what you needed and how was that received? And what did that look like? And again, it can be different for everyone else, but when you became that CEO, how did you get them on board or did you tell them? What did that look like, if you don't mind us asking?
Well, that's a really great question. It's not perfect. Okay, not every night am I like lights out at 9:30. I mean, it's not like Groundhog Day for me. Sometimes my daughter's out and it's at 9 o'clock and she's still out, so I don't go to bed until she gets home. That's just how life is as a parent of teenagers. But yes, about a year ago, I realized that I needed to make a change. And I told my husband, and I actually communicate to my kids, and I told them things are going to look different around here. And if you really want mom to be more present, happier, and a little bit more giving and generous, then instead of being cranky all the time, then you need to honor that. And of course, they're like, yeah, yeah. I mean, every teenager. But after a while, they were like, okay, mom's different. Even my husband, about 6-ish months ago, this is after I switched jobs and, realized that wasn't serving me anymore. He was like, "Why are you so nice to me?" And that right there was like mind blowing. And I was like, "Wait
Mm.
a second, have I not always been nice to you?" And he's like, "Oh, shoot. Did I say something wrong?" And I said, "No, tell me." And he's like, "I don't know. You're just so nice to me. There's a change in you." And then that's when I knew that, God, was I such a bitch before? And
Mm.
trust me, like I said, I have my moments still,
Right,
but
you're
that was
human.
huge. That's when I knew I needed to make a change.
Well,
So, but as far as the routines go, it wasn't like not like a January 1st New Year's resolution, like January 1st, I'm gonna wake up, my morning routine, evening routine. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of time to establish those routines, and now it's a part of me. But I will say you also need to learn to let loose a little bit too. So, like, for example, this weekend, my cousin flew in from New York, and I don't get to see her all that often. And me and my sister live so close to each other, and we are both very close. So, we were so excited that she was coming in town, and we decided to go up north to our family's lake house and just have like a girls' weekend, a girls' getaway. And guess what? I let loose. I let my hair down. I had a couple cocktails. We stayed up late, and I came home feeling like my bucket was full because I
Mhm.
needed that laughter. I needed that girl time. We talked about perimenopause. We talked about our husbands, or maybe kind of made fun of them a little bit. And it's just that right there was therapy. But
Mhm.
I will say, Monday, I was back in my routine again. So when you know that it's a habit is when you can get right back on track again. It's
Mm.
just finding that balance because you do need to kind of let loose a little bit. You can't just live such a rigid life because then you're going to get burnt out and you're going to realize, like, I need to have a little fun. I need a little action in my life.
Yeah.
Not every weekend, all week long.
Right.
But every now and then, absolutely, it's necessary.
Not black
About
or white.
balance.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, Maggie, if you've been listening to us, and like we said in the intro, we love leaving gifts, and there have been sprinkles of so many. So if you've been listening to this, please put this on repeat if you need to listen to it again, because there's a ton of nuggets that Maggie has given us. But if we put you in that moment to just speak to our audience of those women who either are hearing about perimenopause, they're on the crux of it, they have girlfriends going through it, if you were to sprinkle them even a little bit more of some gifts, or even just repeating some that you said about the wisdom about trusting their body, what would you
Mhm.
say for those gifts?
I felt for so long that it was over for me. Like, I kinda lost my mojo, my spark, but I realized that and I felt broken, and your body is not broken. Your body is talking to you. Your body
Mhm.
is so wide, and it's
Mhm.
just and it bounces back. It's really resilient. So, it's just
Mhm.
asking for you to listen. It's asking for a new level of care. This is not the beginning of the end, because that's what I thought. Not your this is not your mother's menopause. It's the beginning of you finally learning how to truly support yourself. Don't fight with your body. Partner with it. Tune in, get curious, and ask yourself, like, what are these symptoms telling me? And you don't need to hustle your way through it. You don't need to honor your way through it, or you need to honor your way through it. And when you do that, you're going to get more power than you think. And just trust yourself. Because think about it, you have worked so hard in this life. Use that. Use that mental muscle to get you through this part of life too. Because if you did it once, you could do it again. And it's only going to make this part of our lives so much more exciting, adventurous, and fun. And who knows, maybe this will actually be, I don't know, like just a new part of our lives that we actually enjoy.
Right.
I
It's like
love
believing
that.
that the best is yet to come.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, exactly.
And I think about like how you pulled yourself out of postpartum and you turned it into essentially a gift by teaching other women how to overcome it. And now, we all have an opportunity to do that with perimenopause. We can see it as defeat and give up, or we can see it as an opportunity to evolve and become a better version of ourselves.
It's true. And in the beginning of, your introduction, you talked about like the messy middle. And I claim that my mess is my message. And I feel like every woman should share their mess, because it could be a message to someone else out there that feels really alone and lost, and not knowing that there are other women out there that are just like her.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why Helena and I started It's Your Birthday, because we were experiencing it and we just felt like we needed to get these messages out to our friends, our audience. So I love that. Oh, that makes my heart so happy. Friends, we did it. We had another hard and very important conversation about hormones and our body. Maggie, we want to thank you for sharing your journey and your heart with us, for sharing with us your courage and openness that we know is going to touch so many women in our community and your community. And we know that you have lots to offer. So let's spread the word. Share with our audience where they can find you.
Okay, so well, let's see. I can be found on Instagram
Hmm.
at self-made with Maggie. That's my handle. And then I also have a free online wellness community, really for women that are fighting the fight through perimenopause. And it's on Facebook. It's called We Are Ageless Together. And it I share my journey. I share my hormone hacks. I talk about routines, and I go live, and I talk more about, things that they could do to really trust their own body and work with it. And it's a great community, and we all are in there, and we love it. We thrive on each other. And that's another way that you can find me.
That's awesome. And friends, you will see in the show notes and then also on all of our social links to find Maggie as well, so that you can join her with us. And until next week, come hang out with us on social. And don't forget our Mondays gift from the couch. Happy birthday.